Okay, so how do you want to show that? When you start talking, you're gonna get up over
12 minutes with myself on my
Okay. All right, so the panel is here. All right, so, who's, Evita? And then afterwards, we'll have questions. What we'll do is we'll go for channel 76, we'll go for about 22 minutes. Then we'll keep recording. That'll go off. We'll keep recording and he'll edit.
Okay, we're
Put
less,
it back on another channel.
excuse me, we're less than a minute to go live. And so when I go like that, you introduce and then he'll speak. And if he doesn't want to speak the entire time, you know, you give him a good introduction, but if he doesn't want to speak the entire time, when you're finished, the man will know to take it back.
The man will know what?
Bye. Okay. I think they have prepared speeches.
Okay, that's cool. That's fine. Just be relaxed, no problem.
Yeah, may I read the speech or does
No, whatever you want to do. This is our neighborhood.
It's an open house.
It's open house. So, but if it was someplace else, it's our city.
2. Count.
who starts first?
That little thing, the camera right there.
Yes, yes. That's what we're looking into. Oh, he's making an introduction now.
Rolling the countdown.
What thing you're gonna do? Kind of fill in and talk about the things that you're working on about the back end finance. It's not on the TV. So we'll get into it. All right, just open.
Good evening. Welcome to the new stimulus package. That's us. My name is Fred Jordan, and I'm sitting here today with a very, very important gentleman. We have visitors from the continent of Africa, and we are just so pleased to have the Council General and his entourage here today to talk to us and to make a presentation and to let us know about Angola and how we can participate, how we can become part of this global market. I have here sitting with me Miles Stevens, noted architect, noted throughout the Bay Area, California, and even in parts of the United States. And he is very, very involved in international development. And so that is why he is sitting here with us today. So first thing I would like to do is to introduce Martinho Kodo, who is a Council General of Angola. And welcome, Council General. Thank you. And we have with him Desiree Zinga, and he's a council agent, and with the council general here, and you're out of Los Angeles, right? Well, and then of course we have someone who is part of our community that lives in the Bay Area, Adelino Demoresh. And Adelino lives here. He's been among us. He's here to make sure things happen between the U.S. and Angola. And thank you for coming. So I'm going to ask the Council General to begin and just tell us a little bit about Angola. A lot of people never heard of Angola, but I understand Angola, if I may add, Angola today is one of the fastest growing countries in the world. And we need to take note of that. And that's why we're sitting here today. So, Council General, please.
Well, thank you very much,
Fred George.
Fred George. First of all, I'd like to thanks for the invitation to visit Chamber of Commerce in California. Secondly, also let you know our subject, our intent to come to California. California is one of the states which my government choose for many reasons. First of all, our program or our plan to California is interacting with the Angolan people living in California. Secondly, we're good to see how California can participate in our economy in Angola. And the third one is to fund good business people that can make business with Angolan companies and California companies. We based in Los Angeles, and we are covering 14 states in the United States. We know that the United States has 8 states that we part of one of the 14 states in the west coast of the United States. Let me start talking about my country. We know that we have very few information in this West Coast about Angola. So we're here to share you some information Angola, where it is and where it locally is. Angola is in Africa. The part of Angola is situated in the southwest of African continent and has 1,246,070 kilometers. I don't know how to say it in square kilometers. We have 18 provinces in Angola, with the capital of Angola is one city.
The one,
Yeah, Luanda City. And Luanda City today we have almost 7 million inhabitants living there. That's the last census we have last year, 2014. We have
7 million, that's a large city.
yes, very large. Yes. The total of inhabitants in Angola is 24 million inhabitants. We have many women and men. 52% are women and 48% are men. And why? Because we part of the conflict in Angola. The men served for the armies, and the women, served to keep us to live. So the women now the more educated because they have time to go to school when the men was front line fighting.
If I can make a remark for the audience, Angola is a Portuguese-speaking country. And so you have to understand that these gentlemen speak Portuguese. They also speak English. So I needed to make that.
Thank you. Angola have complete inter-conflict for 27 years. But in 2002, Angola had peace. That peace now, in our direction for Angola is now to develop the country because everything was destroyed, like infrastructure, roads, police, etc. Today, Angola is a member of permanent Security Council and permanent starting from 1st January 2014 until 2016, so 2 years. Let's talk a little bit about the economic growth. Angola's position as the third largest economy in sub-Saharan Africa with the GDP $1.4 billion. It is ranked of the U.S. second largest partner in Africa, as well as its leading position for Central and Southern Africa, make Angola primary strategy countries for trade and investment in the continent. However, the Consulate General of Angola in Los Angeles, California, in addition to dealing with the diaspora and the consulate matters, we have the main mission to develop as effective economic diplomacy toward the reinforcement and the expansion of the economic relations with the American public and the private institution in areas like agriculture, which is the main issue now, and science and technology. We also instruction, education, tourism, culture, and among others. Agriculture is main key now because, as you're aware, that the oil prices come down, and Angola is one of the countries which produce oil, and we export in the United States. If I'm not mistaken, that Angola is in 6 or 7 countries who will export oil in the United States. So since this economic situation becomes bad for the oil company, oil sector, so now we want to focus on 2 or 3 areas important for us. As I say, agriculture investment, science and technology, education, and infrastructure. And we also intend to work more effectively in order to increase trade with America by taking advantage of the benefits established by the African Growth and Opportunity Act that's in Angola. We are of member of Angola. We, given the necessity of the views and the limits, the current the dependence of the Angola economy on crude oil, as I say, we consider that diversifying the economic activity and the production is a crucial action and necessary is for our future. That's why 2 years ago in 1913, the government of Angola adopted its national development plan that has general objectives to establish growth and employment. We need to develop 3 major areas in Angola, like improving the institution and legal framework, developing and diversifying the national economic strategy, to promote entrepreneurship and develop the economic private sector. The priority area of interest identified to achieve the diversification of the economic are food and agribusiness, industry, energy and water, housing, tourism and mining, and other sectors. Tourism is important. We have very few hotels in Angola. We need you to build hotels in Angola. The hotel is a little, the price of the hotel is high because no competition. If you have many hotels in Angola, maybe the price. If you want to take the flight today, go to Angola, you will find your home to sleep and you will
Be in trouble. You'll be surprised. I see.
because we don't have enough hotel. So that's why I want to pass this message to see if the American companies want to make this Angola. So out of the area can also do it.
I see. Well,
And
Mr. Stevens here is a renowned architect for the design hotel. We have been involved in hotel development, so we have accommodated for that.
for the industry, if the agriculture is working well, so have products to work to put in the industry to make fruits and why? Because in this sense we can reduce the poverty in Angola and we give jobs for the Angolan people to work. We have also many areas of exploring Angola, like the coffee exploration. In the past, Angola was the 3rd country in the world exports oil coffee in the world. During the struggle, the products was down, and now it's coming better and better.
You were during the war.
Yes.
Yeah. But at one time, you were number 3 country in the world for coffee bean.
Yes.
That's impressive.
The land is there. The cost production is estimated at some 15,000 tons of commercial coffee, corresponding to some 50,000 hectares. So the company wants to work in the coffee field. The land is there. We provide them the documents. The consulate in Los Angeles can provide a visa. If you can get some internet of the company want to go to Angola, send it to us, and then we can send it to Minister of Agriculture. Also, Angola is very strong for timber wood. Yes, so we need the companies who want to American companies who want to participate in exploring wood in Angola. Yes, that's one of the areas we can work with you.
Is there a special kind of wood?
Yes, we have almost 12 special kind of wood. That if make a mistake, maybe in next time we can send you some sample to at the hearing to show you what kind of food we have. And then also one special food in Angola, we follow them follow on the Angola system, like we call it power break. It's very strong, like Spanish and so on. So.
Well, we're doing a lot of development here in San Francisco. Thousands of units. I think we're getting ready to run out of time here. So if you would like to make some comments, and maybe allow for a question or two.
Okay.
Chapter 76.
Okay. We can also talk about the mineral source in Angola. We have diamonds, we have gold, we have copper, we have mica, marble, quartzos, and manganese. So also, it's one area we can cooperate with the American partnership of the Chamber of Commerce. In fishing, we have a lot of fish. We have horse mackerel, we have sardinella, I don't know how to call it, shrimps, carp, and etc. The Minister of Fishing is looking from California, who wants to participate. He just send us the intern letter and forward to the Minister of Fishing. We want tomorrow, we have a lot of fish. So that's not a problem at all.
Council General, we are running out of time for Channel 76. Do you have a question or two that if anyone has a question, we have a couple more minutes. So to talk, but you may want to add some comments.
Yeah, how can we establish a business relationship with you? That is, we're based here in California. We have some business activities over in West Africa existing, going on. We'd like to have more. And so what kind of business relationship can we look up on that? As you mentioned, hotels, you mentioned minerals. Explain how an American company can work with you in a joint venture or work with local business there in Angola and get access to some of the business that's in your country.
Okay. For the hotel, it depends on you. Because, as I said, Angola is open for everyone to make this available. As a restaurant, if you are interested to explore in the hotel side, as I said, as the entire land, and then we can follow the news of hotel and tourism. But the land is there. We have 18 provinces, and each one needs at least 10 hotels. Oh my gosh. And then the one that we're going to have more. There are a lot of intent American companies to build hotels. But the problem is just to contact us, and then we can work on that and use it to develop an institution. And if you see, if you don't know it's Angola, but when you are in Rwanda to south of Angola, we can can drive mile and bike. We don't have hotel to stay. But if you are tired, I want to get a refreshment, you have to stop somewhere. You do not go have to rest, but we don't have the service. We need it.
Council General, I need to sign off for Channel 76. We can continue. We are here in the offices of the San Francisco African American Chamber of Commerce, and we have our guest today, Council General Martino Cota from Angola, West Africa, and Desiree Zinga and Angelio de Moraes. And thank you, gentlemen, for coming here today. And I think that we can continue our discussions. We're now on channel 29. So I interrupted you, but I wanted to thank our audience on channel 76. And I believe that we are also on the internet. We continue on the internet. So please continue. You were talking about motels and how if you drive through the country, you don't have a place to stop and refresh.
Yes. All these sectors already mentioned is in our plan, is in the government plan. So we'd like to know how the Chamber of Commerce in California can help participate in this project. So that's the message I want to leave here. And I'm able to see any questions.
Okay. Well, good. Thank you. I asked you before, did you meet everyone, or maybe we should have, there were a few people who came in, that they can introduce themselves and tell you the reason why they're here, and interest. Can we start?
Well, let's start with Mr. Montgomery. He's a distinguished visitor.
I thought
Who's been to Angola?
He's been to Manhattan. If I can take off from your introduction, Ulysses Montgomery is one of our very prominent San Franciscans. He has been traveling to Africa for over 30 years. And when I first met him, I was just marveled at this man who traveled to Africa all the time, all over. And so he has been to Angola many times and has always tried to foster relations with Africa and the United States. So also he is a very prominent person here in the city. He was a developer of housing and one of the first housing developments in the city and county of San Francisco for multifamily. And that's very distinct, multifamily, and that's Martin Luther King Square, hundreds of some units. And he set the model for the city. He was the guy who set the model. And of course, he's a very distinguished engineer and he's well known throughout. So, Mr. Montgomery, why don't you stand up for everybody else so that they know who I'm talking about. All right, thank you very much. Okay. But we'll finish the introduction and then you can, we'll have you come forward and do some discussion. Harriet.
Well, hi, I'm Harriet Stevens. I'm a mathematics educator and consultant and traveled off miles and I have traveled to Africa and we're very interested in education. I'm very interested in education systems and mathematics and technology in particular.
I'm Will Stevens. I've met the Council General and I've been to chat. I've done business in Africa, East, West, and Cape Town, South Africa. Hello, greetings. My name is Tommy Moon, and I'm in the technology space. And our firm held and still holds one of the contracts to supply the software and hardware for projects for the city and county of San Francisco. So I'm looking to spread my wings, so to speak, to reach out and do a consulting type of business on my own. So I'm here to find out more about what you have going in technology and so on. So broadband, internet, telephony, running telephones over the internet, things like that.
I would like to say, and thank you, Tommy. I would like to say that anyone listening in who would have a question or comment, you can call the office here, and that question or comment will be directed to this panel. The number here is 749-6400. 749-6400, area code 415. Anybody else in the house? Dr. Churchwell, you introduced yourself.
It's a pleasure having you here. I've been looking forward to meeting you since I've been talking to El Angio, and I hope we can have some businesses, ventures in Angola. We have had visitors from South Africa, and we have talked and talked and talked and talked. I guess now we want some action, and we're willing to put our skills together and be some profit and some future plans for building and exploring business ventures in Angola. So we're here open. We got all the skills that you need. You name it, we have it. And we're willing to work.
Thank you. You asked a question about how can the chamber members participate. There are a number of ways, and I think what Dr. Churchwell was relating to is that in this country, even though African Americans do not have the wealth, they do have the expertise. They have the expertise to do anything we want. And so we're not short. We run some of the largest companies in the world. You know, we've made our mark, including the largest GDP country. We do have the expertise. I think one thing to further your conversation is that you can give us some idea of the kinds of things that you're looking for as you described, and maybe we can put together a trade mission of interested people in knowing more about your country and the kinds of products, whether it's import, export, or whether you need professional services, management. I was in Equatorial Guinea, and the gentleman came in and sat down beside me, and he had the tourism public relations contract for 3 countries. And I said, we have people right here, we have experts on tourism. You know, we have people walking around with master's degree in tourism. You know, I mean, just as an example. So and he said, oh, gee, I'd love to participate. We have, you know, we have technical services. We have, just as an example, Mr. Moon over here, that you need computers and you need the technology assistance that can supply you and do that. So I would say a trade mission could be one, and I also understand from Mr. Demiraj that you'd like to maybe put an office over here to somewhere in California to show the products and what you have to offer as such. We've had some discussion on that. I mean, if that's something that you want to do, we can help you do that.
If I can make responses.
If you get what?
No, I can answer you.
Yes, please, please.
Well, as I say in the beginning, that education is one of the key for the very good to get the betterment to develop the country very quickly, very fast. I don't know if the Chamber of Commerce can help Angola to have some scholarship in California, so that our students from Angola can come and learn more about, to have more skill for education. When you talk about education, so it's also increasing science and technology, because if you're not educated, you cannot manage something in the computer or in software, something like that. Okay, that's also one of the area of the plan to work, how can help us trade mission in Angola, that's good. I spoke to my colleague Captain Moraes. We're trying to make to organize the expo, Angola Expo, with the subject to know about Angola. So I'm working with my country to see if this expo can happen in California, especially in San Francisco. With Moraes is pushing them to it's better to come to San Francisco because here you can find everything you need to Angola. Science, technology, twist, Microsoft, and so on. So let us to make sure that this expo can happen in California or San Francisco, to see, and you can see what will happen from Angola. And after that, we can create a joint venture and to organize a trade mission to Angola. So that's what we are expecting maybe in November to organize the expo from Angola to San Francisco. Yes.
So in November, you were expected to bring a trade mission here.
Yes, it's
From
not, it's not trade mission, it's an expo. Expo is something yes, very large. We can bring a lot of companies and institutions to come and join us. We are very pleased to work with you, to contact you, and to see how we can organize this transition. We have also U.S. Chamber of Commerce in Washington, D.C., organized by the government for long, 5, 6, 7 years now. And maybe we can see how we can coordinate with them. That's
You're speaking with them now, the United States Chamber of Commerce.
yes.
Big.
This is, this is the U.S. and Angola Chamber. US and Angola.
Oh, USA, go.
So tourists without hotel, without food, without water, without roads, without bridges, we cannot make tourists. So it is one of the things we can wait to do. We have hotel, we have food, agriculture, working, educational working, etc. So if you want to drink water, so I need to find somewhere. And if you don't have it, well, travel.
Council General, one thing that we do have within the chamber is we have people, tourism consultants. And one of our board members, he's off in the Far East someplace right now. But he's consulted to Russia, to Thailand, to Australia, and sometimes I'm on his case as the chairman of the chamber as to how come he doesn't make it to a meeting, and he says, oh, I was over in Czechoslovakia helping them with their tourism. So we can offer to help you develop a plan. Tourism, and like I said, we have people that are trained in tourism because tourism is the #1 industry in this city. So we do $9 billion worth of business with tourism. That's the #1 business. People think technology is, and because we have Google here, and we have Twitter, and we have all these people, tourism is our #1. And I think that could be very important to Angola. And another thing that you might consider with Rwanda is to get a sister city. Is to have a sister city in this country. It doesn't have to be in the Bay Area or in California or whatever, but look at that because the sister city can help you. And so, for instance, Cote d'Ivoire, when Cote d'Ivoire ships something to the United States, if they want to come in through our warehouse right here in San Francisco, they come from customs. right? And that's because the sister city, we have a sister city with San Francisco, Cote d'Ivoire, sister city. Cote d'Ivoire is with the Ivory Coast, right? I don't speak that much.
So Abidjan was our sister city,
Yeah.
and so we got a lot of business contacts with that sister city relationship.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's Abidjan, really, yeah. The country is Cote d'Ivoire.
This is one of our plan, to develop in the experience. We are thinking about the port, like, I don't know what sport is here, because one of them here.
Oakland.
Oakland can make us proceed with one of the ports in Angola, but in Venezuela, the region, or we can go to Namibia, also, with a very large port there, and maybe away from that to see how things can operate. Therefore, I will pass the message to my ambassador in Washington, D.C., because he's the one that, to work with and send information to.
What we need from you is like a package of what you want to do, a package describing the port facilities that you have. Package describe how many students you have that might to come to Bay Area universities. We need that kind of information. We need the information on how many tourists you have now. Like when I go to a hotel developer, they want to know, what's the demographics, how many people do we have that could stay in this hotel that we're talking about. And so we need that kind of informational exchange so we can get our hands around what you really want to do. I do know that the ports in South Africa, the nation of South Africa, they tell us about their RFPs, their requests for proposals to do their port projects. So we'd like to know about the business availability of proposals that you have in Angola so that we could possibly bid on some of your proposals there. So that's what South Africans do. That's a good example. And so they have a huge port expansion program going on in South Africa. So we just like to know more in terms of the package that you can get together about the kind of students that you have. And then we have plenty of universities here that are looking for students that can be exchange students. So we can contact our educators, our university people to hook up and begin to work together.
On the educational side, we can, if you develop a certain program, we do have also established here is UNICEF, no, not UNICEF, United Negro College Fund, Black University. The Black University, they have 42 colleges that they control. And they're all accredited in this country. They're not whether they're HBCU, historically, black college, big things are accredited. And these are accredited schools. We have a relationship that we can, if you want to have certain programs, and I can meet with you that if you want to send your students. I know that we were trying to do something for Sierra Leone and Vietnam, saw the plan and implemented it at San Francisco State University under a black dean. And so he would be very open to having a student exchange program. I don't know whether you call it student exchange, but to get your people over here, and we can set up a program to help them get through what they call the SAT scores, and that's something that we could work with you on and help you out. But I know that if you can't develop a program, that those kind of things can be made to happen. Because we have not forgotten where we come from, and so it is.
Fred,
Yes.
if I may, Mr. Ambassador, well, we have, Mr. Montgomery here has a plan. You mentioned hotels, you need hotels, has a plan to build a hotel. Maybe Mr. Montgomery ought to tell him a little bit about your plan.
Would you like to come up and make a presentation with Mr. Montgomery? You may have my seat here, or you want to be back. Why don't you come on?
The show is working.
Come on up and make a presentation. We have about 15 minutes. Before we go off the internet, I asked, so I'd like to be very brief. My interest in Angola and all of Africa and the African Americans in the United States is based on one principle. Economic development must be based on the principles by, for, and of the residents. Mr. Jordan mentioned the project we did in San Francisco, Martin Luther King Square. That project is owned by the people that live there. And that was used as an example to develop other projects owned by the residents. Most of the other housing projects in the United States are owned by landlords that rent to renters. This concept that people, the small citizens, must have a reason for living and owning something. And that we applied to Africa. When we started in 1960, there were 3 countries independent in Africa. None of them had economic independence. They had political independence. So I joined with a number of people in Africa to change that. And you know most of them. And Nelson, Mandela, NASA, the Sequel. Yes. Now, Africa's, all of the countries in Africa have political independence. Very few have economic independence. We must strive to have economic independence for all of the countries. And we also must strive to have economic independence for more citizens in the United States, as well as in Africa. And that's where my thrust is now. Getting back to Angola, just briefly. I'm spending a majority part of my time to develop a new industry in Africa and parts of the United States. An industry that can produce economic development by, for, and of the local residents, working in association with the local governments and the national government. And our main effort is based on the introduction of Kenaf, a product that's native to Angola, which can be cultivated and processed by small farmers, big farmers, to produce everything, I repeat, everything that the citizens need for a sustainable life. That sounds a little far-fetched, but we have proven that it can work, not only in the United States, but in Africa, Latin America, Asia, and in outer space. We just focus to develop, following this one principle, which I learned in grade school, by, for, and of the people, which is the foundation of the United States. Now, I'll close by one other comment to link Angola to the African American community. my ancestors, African ancestors, I believe came from Angola. Based on the history of South Carolina, where they came from. And as an outgrowth of the slavery process in the United States. Most of you may not know that 40% of the slaves brought to the United States in slavery came from Angola. Going back almost 300 years. And there's a prison in Louisiana named Angola. And that prison is in the process of being changed to provide better benefits for the citizens. What I'm trying to say is that there's a linkage and a bond between the people in Africa, Angola, and so on, and the United States. Brazil, Venezuela, Cuba, Bolivia, these countries of South Africa, you look at them, the majority of the people living in these countries are of African descent. I repeat, the majority. But sometimes it gets hidden. So I just say this, that we have to stop walking along and shuffling our feet. We have to stand up and tall and let everybody know who we are, what we have done, and what we can do. That's about all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much. As I said, he's been a pioneer in this city. The city officials really appreciate him.
There's one
He
little
said
comment, Fred, if I may, that it gets hushed up. But I say it loud and clear. Angola would probably not be in existence today if it were not for the Cuban soldiers that went to Angola to help the Angolans fight against, I repeat, against South Africa, Portuguese, and the United States. And I'm glad to see that the U.S. is reconciling its efforts with Cuba.
Yeah. And of course, as a takeoff, Mr. Montgomery mentioned that I mean, you take Brazil is 50%. You know, they got 100 million people of the African diasporas. Cuba is predominantly Latin. You know, they had I'm the former chair of the National Black Chamber of Commerce, and the country of Colombia invited us down, and I said, Colombia? And they had something like 130 black mayors in Colombia.
Yes, yes.
In Colombia. And so they're over. What we need to do is to, and your country as part of the African Union voted the African diaspora as the 6th region of Africa. And so that's where we need to bond. The African diaspora, whether it's the Americans, African Americans, the Caribbean, South Americans, Central American, we're all part of that. And I think some of the countries are beginning, and we want to present that to you. We represent our homeland. Mr. Montgomery said 40%. That's a big number, but we know that there are people here from Angola, and that is our motherland, and we want to do business. You know, and for instance, you mentioned infrastructure was one of the
priorities. And we'd be happy to help you out on the infrastructure. I mean, whether you have roads, or bridges, or buildings, or airfields, we work on all of those. We have transportation companies, and we have journalists in the room. We can help you on the educational part. If you want to have further discussions on that, that's what we're here for, to make a connection.
Well, thank you very much for this explanation. And as I said in the beginning, that my country is very much interested in all this area I mentioned is key. So any companies or any part in the world to make business in our where he has asked for the department to buy and we cannot buy and FedEx working well, so we can send us the container and then can follow the money. Let me be clear that the consulates don't make business. The consulates make connections with countries, Holland business and American business. So we have our economy here. It's good connection with business people.
If you can match us up business to business in these sectors we've talked about, I appreciate that.
Let me just emphasize a little bit. The concept just say that the consulate itself is not involved directly in established business, but to promote your business for all. That's an area that I'm extremely involved is an area of promoting business for the private and public sector of these areas. So actually, that Angola is open to do business, and mostly the African American community. And in the past, we have approached the African American community, and I have to say again, thank you for Mr. Montgomery. He is an individual that really, I recognize his efforts. He's willing to establish a great relationship with Angola since the days that we were under the Portuguese colonial power contract and so on. And the consuls also specified an area that is very important for all of us to be aware of, is that there are certain priorities of the local government in which we are focused. And we mentioned about agriculture. Now that we are trying to diversify our portfolio of economy due to not just for the oil crisis, but also going to the resources of the country. Angola is a country that has been blessed in many different natural resources, including soil. In the prior to 75 Angola, their main economic commodity was based on agricultural products, and we try to go back to that direction and develop that sector. And they trying to not to be focused on oil or other minerals as diamonds, that it has been basically the source of our government, the source of income of the government. That's the area that could generate funds to support Angola during the civil war, because part of Angola was very stable and they could not focus in any other area besides the oil sector that we have developed at the point that today we are surpassing Nigeria in terms of producing oil. And Angola has established an industry in that area that has been very strong, and they has been served as the leverage of the Angolan economy. That's one of the points. But now, going back to the interest of the local government, that has been very, very precise. We are open to do business with the world, specifically the African American community, because like it's been stated that we bound not just today, not yesterday. Since from the beginning, we are the same people. We just separate by destinies and the other perpetrators that took us, they divide us. And today we are in different parts of the globe. And they basically are the same people, and we ask for your assistance. And there is a consulate of Congolese being established in Los Angeles. And once again, the consulate doesn't do this to promote business. And myself have been delegated to be representing interests for the public and private sector of many businesses of Hong. And we try to conduct that. And the consulate need to conciliate the legal framework and the other liaisons that is being part of the old structure that the law is put together.
We are running out of time.
Okay.
For worldwide internet. And I want to thank you again.
Just one of the things I want to mention quickly before we end. When I came in Los Angeles, I met the diplomat from the Office of Other Mission who deal with diplomats or the diplomatic corps of the diplomatic corps in Los Angeles. And when we're talking about the opportunity to make a connection with business people from Angola and from the United States. And then he asked me one question very important. So what do you want to import or export, what you want to export to the United States, to California? I told him that, I don't know, no, you must think yourself. And I was thinking about the opportunity to import some goods in California. The good with as you know that we are a member of AGOA, and AGOA have almost 6,000 units to export to the United States. And one thing was about beer. So we would like to introduce our beer in.
All right, okay, you heard that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in to us. Our guest today has been the Consul General of Angola, and Mr. Zinga of his office, and Mr. Angelino de Moraes, the business representative here in San Francisco. I have given you the number to call, 415-394, I mean not 394, 749-6400. Thank you for listening in.